So before I get into this episode, I just want to put a little disclaimer at the front of this podcast. We will be talking about sex genitalia, all that fun stuff. And this is mostly warning for my dad because poor guy last time listened to my last episode, which is titled Pussy Power, by the way, and has a description about what's involved. But he did not see the title. I guess it just came on his shuffle. So this is for you, Dad, and for anybody else who doesn't want to hear me talking about genitalia or sex or any of that stuff. You can skip this episode. But anyways, on to the episode with Eddie. Hello. Welcome to another episode of the True Brit podcast. Today I'm sitting with Eddie.
Wow.
And I'm so excited. So Eddie is just a really great person to be around. He's one of those guys that lights up the room. He's very magnetic. He's super easy to be around. Everybody likes to be around him. He makes everybody feel at ease. He also just has very wise things to say, but also very hilarious things to say. And he's fucking hilarious. So I'm just happy that I get to have this conversation with Eddie and we get to record it.
Britt, that means so much coming from you. So happy to be here, to be doing this and talking about this.
Awesome.
This wild little journey.
It is a wild fucking journey.
Yeah.
I feel like we should just get right into it because, so the story you were just telling me.
Oh, man. Oh, God.
The reason it's called True Brit Podcast is because we just go for the truth.
Go right into it.
Go right into it. No filters, raw, unedited. Like, I don't take things out. So, I wanted you to tell this story, and we stopped talking about it to record because, like, I have a similar story that I haven't shared.
Oh.
But okay, so go on.
Yeah.
Tell us what happened.
All right, so I guess a little backstory. I've been here through 8 ceremonies now. I have one more. And a minor piece of this that I was just talking about was about 3 ceremonies ago, I engaged my dick in conversation. I started a conversation I reached out, like to an old friend. I realized I hadn't thought a lot about that as like a part of my body. It's always just kind of been this other thing. I reached out and I was like, hey, Dick, I know we don't really talk much. I feel as if I've been pretty unfair and neglectful of you. God, this is ridiculous. All right, I feel like I've been pretty unfair, pretty neglectful to you. You know, I blame a lot of shit on you. I'm always like, oh, I'm thinking with my dick. But I'm not doing that. I'm thinking with my brain and I'm making my dick do things. And sometimes I make my dick do things that, like, my dick is like, I don't want to do this. And I reached out. And, my dick was not ready to talk that 3 ceremonies ago. It was absolutely just, nope, very upset. In a very cold way, and I was like, what do you want me to say? I was like, I don't want you to say anything, but whatever you want to say, I want to hear. I want to listen to. I kind of went radio silent. Then 2 ceremonies ago, I kind of checked in. I was like, hey, just want you to know I'm still ready to talk whenever you want to talk. Dead silent. Last ceremony, okay, well, should I go into the dose thing, the second dose thing?
Whatever you want.
Okay, so I took a pretty strong first dose, a full dose, and was having a wild time, getting some deep cosmic perspective, and Wade comes around for the second dose. He's like, do you want a second dose? And I'm like, come back to me. He comes back and I'm like, yeah. Give me a quarter. I do not need a second dose. I should not have a second dose. But I'm like, yeah, quarter, just confidently. He pours me the quarter and he leaves. And I'm sitting on the bed. I have the medicine in front of me. And everything in my body, I'm just brought into this hyper focus. It brings my head down onto the cup, and I'm just floating, and it's saying, don't do it. Do not do this. And I was like, okay. I'm going to do it. And it's like, dude, do not do it. And I was like, okay. I'm going to do it. It's like, do not. And I do it. And immediately, I'm there for a minute, and I just had my head up like a fucking bird trying to get down a meal. And it was the most bizarre sensation. It wasn't me like throwing up due to the taste, but it just energetically my body rejected. It rejected the medicine. It was like immediately just projectile vomiting so forcefully into my bucket for like 2 minutes. And the entire time she's telling me like, why did you do that? And I was just like, because I want it all. Because I want more. I was just being a rascal. And I think that's something that I've really come to embrace through my time here is, again, it's something that Alan Watts referred to as the irrepressible rascality of man. Of like, there's always going to be this little part of you that's like, trying to game the system. I'm like, I just want more. But okay. So I'm just vomiting in my bucket. I'm like, I just want more. And now look, now I have all this room for more. Look at this. It was really fascinating because I think previously I would have felt a lot of shame associated with that moment, of a lot of negative emotions, a lot of like, you idiot, like you shouldn't have done, you heard a voice so clearly, you shouldn't have done this. But it was just kind of funny. It was just like, I knew exactly what I was doing. And to hear that voice after being so out of touch with my intuition for so much of my life, having that clouded and so blurry, but to hear that voice so clearly and then reject it. but to hear it before, I wouldn't have even known if I was rejected because I wouldn't have heard the voice. But at least this time I heard it and was like, nah. So, all right. So I'm vomiting over this bucket, and out of nowhere, I'm like, it's like I just want more. All I've ever wanted in my life, the only thing I've ever wanted is more. Is that too much to ask? I just want more. And now I have all this room in me. And the words come into my head of just, show me the kingdoms. Show me the kingdoms. I want to see the kingdoms. And I turn onto my back from this fetal vomit bucket position. And I turn onto my back, and all of a sudden, it is just thousands of sperm fucking flying over me. And I say, whoa. And as this is happening, and it's like watching a fucking herd of bison over the Great Plains. I'm just overcome with emotion of what is happening. And a voice comes into my head, and it is my dick. And it is saying to me, I thought we were making babies. Just this betrayed and angry and tearful, like, you fucking have been lying to me. We have no children. We have no children. We have nothing. What has been going on here? Do you think this is a game? And I was like, oh God. Yeah, it was just like, it just didn't know. We never had the conversation. I was like, oh man, this is really weird. I still haven't gotten back to it. I've left, that text is on read.
Okay.
And I think next ceremony I'm going to have to be like, I'm going to need an explanation or to build a path going forward.
Yeah. That's fascinating. This will be great because the episode I just posted was about pussy power. So this one can be about the dick.
The dick.
That is interesting.
Oh wow. Yeah. And you'll be able to go into your story.
Okay.
Can you do that here?
Yeah,
Is that how
why
this
not?
works? Oh my god.
So I don't even really remember, but I fully understand what you're talking about when you say you're talking to your dick, because I had this ceremony where it was one of my first ceremonies, and I was talking to my uterus, like my womb, my vagina, the whole thing. And I mean, I didn't start the conversation. Like, it started the conversation.
Well,
she did, whatever. And I was like, oh my god. Like, at first I wasn't talking back because I was like, my womb is talking to me. Like, this is not possible. And then it was like, no, we're talking to you, and you need to listen. And I was like, oh no. I just immediately knew what was coming, because it's like, it was like, you've not considered us for 1 second. Like, not only like have you shoved up tampons and all this stuff without asking any of our permission, but also penises, and also ones that you didn't want in there. And I was just like, oh my god. Like, I never once took that into consideration. It was just like, not... It's hard to explain, because I feel like a dick makes more sense that you don't think of it as like a part of you, because it's like separate. It's like outside of your body. But for this, it's like, I don't know how I was so disconnected, because it's like it's in me. But it still felt disconnected. Like, I felt like I've never talked down there or like considered what she wants, or that like she feels violated and betrayed. And yeah, it made me just think about so many things that I did that were just like not respectful. So it's like, if you don't respect yourself, at least respect your pussy. Damn straight. Yeah.
Damn straight. It's about getting in touch with, even outside of dick and pussy. Like, I had a moment with my feet. Mm-hmm. It's like, I realized, like, oh my god, before coming here, I probably like washed my feet like 6 times in my life. Like, when I shower, I don't like fucking get in there and wash my feet.
You just assume it just didn't.
Like, I'm like, yeah,
the water
it's like,
just drips down.
Yeah, it drips down like my legs. It's like, it's fine. And just starting these conversations where it's like, oh, okay, maybe that's why I feel like when I walk, sometimes I feel like when I walk, it's like not natural. Because I view my legs as these things that just like get me places. As opposed to this part of my body that I need to respect and check in with and have conversations with, and maybe not literal conversations. I think in ceremony it comes up in very extreme ways.
Right.
But yeah, it definitely changed the way that I thought about that.
Yeah, it completely did for me too. And I proceeded to have ceremonies about like the rest of my body. I wasn't, like you said, I wasn't conversing with all my body parts, but I've had moments with the rest of my body. You know, in yoga, like, I take you through foot massage, and it's like, that's like something I realized was sometimes our feet need some love, and sometimes like, so I went through my whole body at various points, different ceremonies, and realized I had this really weird thing where I realized I had done my whole body except my nose. I literally did not even realize that, but something came up where I was in ceremony, and it was, my nose fucking started talking to me, and it was like, yeah, well, you don't love me yet. And I was like, oh, damn, like, you're right. Like, my whole life have hated my nose, and like just kind of forgot about that. But like for a while I wanted like nose surgery, like most women do, and then I was like, I should fucking love my nose. Like, my sense of smell is so powerful, and like I have an amazing sniffer. Like, it's very good. It works very well. The sniffer. And instead of appreciating that for its function, I've been like hating it because it doesn't look like a Barbie nose. You know?
God, that's so... That's so wild. That's so wild because you have a beautiful nose.
Thank you.
You have an absolutely wonderful nose.
I mean, it's like, it has this thing where it tips. I was used to imagine as a girl, like, cutting this part off, which is, now I'm like, that's so fucked up. Because I'm like, going under a knife, again, not judging people who do this, but like, because I wanted to. Just getting under a knife, having someone fucking cut part of my face off so that I could look more like people in the magazines. And it was just like such a ridiculous moment where I was like, oh my God, I love every part of my body except my nose.
Still.
Well, now I love my nose.
Okay,
I mean,
great.
Now I do. I had to have a ceremony about it. And it was awesome because I think during Share Circle, I was talking about this, and my friend Des was here with her mom. They're both Italian. Her mom doesn't speak much English. So she's like, Des is like quietly translating to her, and her mom goes, what's wrong with her nose? And I was just like, oh, it's exactly what I needed to hear. Like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with my nose. Like, It's a nose. It's doing its function. It's like, it's it's doing what a nose should do. And the fact that I've like hated it for so long, it was upset. Like, it was like, why would you hate me? And I was like, oh my God, I've been so mean. I wanted to cut you off.
God. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that must have been...
And my chin.
Scary, yeah.
was the whole thing. But like...
Has your chin ever talked to you?
No.
Okay.
I think I've made peace with my chin.
That's good. It's nice that these parts of your body are like reaching out.
Yeah, it was just so clear where it was like, this is like the glaring last one. And I was like, oh, you're right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And now I'm proud of myself for not getting a nose job because...
Yeah,
like,
holy shit, you can't undo that.
No.
Man, that's something I'm going through right now. I'm like, do I want to get a hair transplant?
What?
Yeah. This is all going away. This is all. I'm waving bye-bye. But I've done a lot of research, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is actually this technology is like come a long way. It's pretty safe. Like, you can get results. It would still be my hair.
Whoa.
Yes, basically the way it works is they would take the hair out of the side of your head, and they implant the follicles into the top of the head.
Whoa.
So apparently the hair on the side of your head is resistant to this type of testosterone that the top of your head starts producing as you get older, and that's what makes the hair on your top of your head fall. That's why you bald, like, from the top out, and you kind of keep the friar side hair. Right? Like what is it, the monk? The Dominican monk?
I mean, when you said friar, I'm like, the image is perfect. Just like a brown cloak and like just a circle of hair.
But I'm just at this impasse where I'm like, I love having hair. And that's something that I actually haven't really brought into ceremony. I did have this moment where I realized how fucking crazy that is. I did have one moment where it's like, am I gonna fucking do that? That's like, I think I've been like, I had this moment where I was just like kind of normalizing it of like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna get a hair transplant. I want to do it. But I just had this moment where I was like, that's fucking crazy. Humans are fucking nuts.
It is. It's so nuts. Yeah. And again, like, I really don't have judgment for any of that because, like, I get it. Like, I get it. Because hair, especially for a man, it's like women, I feel like we have a bajillion things to be insecure about. But for men, it's, like, really just your hair.
We have it a lot. Yeah, it's a lot easier.
It's just, like, your hair is such a big thing. So I get it. I mean, I can't imagine how that must feel to have, like, your hair fall out and just recede. Like, that would be tough, but I can almost compare it to, like, women getting wrinkles.
Yeah.
Because for me, like, I was getting Botox for a while, and I was, like, a big proponent of it. And I feel like about Botox the way you feel about your hair transplant thing, because I still am, like, not complete. I'm like, okay, it's a toxin. It's fucking insane.
Yeah.
It's actually fucking insane, and, like, my morals stand against it, because I'm like, what we're doing is, if everyone's getting Botox, then we're not aging naturally. Yeah. And now 30 to 40-year-olds don't look like 30 or 40-year-olds normally would. They look like, because they have Botox. Right. And now you're gonna now you're making everyone younger have to get Botox because we don't know what women look like with wrinkles, because we don't, like, it's just this cycle where I'm like, someone needs to stop it, because if I stop getting Botox, which I have, for the past couple of years.
Oh, no
It
shit.
sucks that I see my wrinkles, like, they're coming, and it's like, I'm aging.
Yeah,
Like, I'm fucking getting older.
That's kind of the thing of, like, it's coming
It's
no matter
coming.
what.
And I think that's the real thing, is what we're afraid of. It's like, dude, you're getting older. Like, we're getting older. We're aging. Our bodies are changing, and that is normal, and that is natural. But then there's the other side of me where it's like, but we have these technologies where you could feel really good about yourself for longer periods of time.
Yeah.
And that's also important. It's important to feel, like, really good in your body, like, really confident. And it's a tough one. I don't have an answer. I don't have, like, oh, you should get it or you should not. It's just like,
Yeah, it's just
maybe.
all things to consider. I have a book behind you. Are you familiar with Denial of Death?
No.
Ever heard of this? Oh, it's great. It is dense, but it's this guy, and I think it's Ernst Becker. It's a philosophy book, and basically it's like everything we do in our life is to deny the fact that we are going to die. We're at this point in human evolution where, like, we can process, we have an ego, we can process intellectually that, like, we are going to die, but we can't process it emotionally or spiritually, or what that means. And so everything we do is basically around trying to escape our own deaths and take on these immortality projects and stay young.
Whoa.
And it's real.
That's so intense, and it's so real.
And you know, it's something I thought I would think a lot more about the ceremony. It's like my own death, the deaths of my loved ones, just death in general. And, you know, it hasn't come up that much.
Yeah.
From my impression going in, I was like, basically, like, I'm going to be imagining that I'm dead the whole time.
Right.
I'm going to have all these death experiences, see myself dying, and, like, have to process. And the only time it came up was, like, again, the intellectual processing of, like, oh yeah, my parents are going to die. Like, that's my burden as a child, is like, I'm going to have to deal with both of my parents dying at some point. And I started to be like, let's visualize that. And something inside me just pulled away and was like, nope, that is black magic. That is, like, something that you do not, I don't, at that moment in time, I didn't feel like I needed to think about, that it would have been wrong for me to think about, because it's gonna happen.
Whoa.
Something, yeah, I don't know.
So interesting. And I really relate to that because, I mean, okay, so I've been here for a while. I've seen a lot of guests have a lot of different experiences, and the death one is really common. But it's not always what people think it's going to be. It's not like they feel like they're dying and they die and blah, blah, blah. It's oftentimes, like, about other things where it's more of a fear of death and not death itself, where they just realize that they're terrified of dying and how much it's been affecting their life and the choices that they've been making. And I did so many ceremonies before I had, like, this death experience. And even that was, like, very, I don't want to say low-key, but, like, it was just, like, I genuinely have always felt pretty okay with death. That's why I was, like, kind of half joking, but not about, like, angel of death. I'm like, I really have always felt weirdly okay with it. I'm not going to go into all this, but, like, I have had a few near-death experiences that weren't, like, full ones where I did the whole trip and, like, went to the beyond and came back. It wasn't like that. But I had, like, a few life experiences where I truly, truly thought I was going to die. And every time that happened, it was like I was super calm. I was suddenly totally okay with everything. Everything made sense. I was fine, which shocked me because, I mean, a couple of them happened as a kid, but one of them happened when I was very, very anxious as an adult. And I thought if I was faced with death in that moment that I would fucking freak out and have a panic attack and all this. But instead I was, like, the calmest person and was accepting of it. I was like, okay, if this is my moment, like, okay. And it was just this really sweet feeling where time slowed down and I just fully was okay. I don't know, I was just so okay with it. And then I've had other experiences with, like, drugs and, like, bufo where I fully was like, oh, this is where we go when we die, and then, like, everything's fine. So I feel like I've had all these experiences, that make me truly feel like I'm okay with death. But there was an ayahuasca ceremony, and I told myself that's why I wasn't getting it. I was like, I think I'm just not getting a death experience with ayahuasca because I'm actually okay with death. It doesn't need to come up for me. But a part of me was like, am I lying to myself?
Yeah, like, right? Am I really thinking about death?
Right. Like, am I lying to myself? So there was one night where it kind of happened. But it was, again, I felt like I passed some sort of test because I'm laying there and it literally felt like death was in the air because the ceremony before, like, 2 people had the death experience, and I was like, oh, this is something happening in the room. And so when I laid down on my mat, I was just feeling pure fear for a while, which is not new to me, but it was a new, as of recently, feeling because I haven't felt much fear. So I was like, okay, fear, we're back here. This is okay. I know how to handle this. Just feel it. And then it was like a bunch of skulls. It's hard to explain ayahuasca visions, but it's just like fully immersive experience of like, oh, I'm about to die. Like, you're about to put me through the death experience. I just knew that. And all these skulls were there, and I was like checking in with myself fully. I was like, okay, am I actually okay to die right now? Like, am I really okay with death? And I really sat with it, and I was like, I am. Like, besides the fact that I don't want to die right here, right now, because that would just totally fuck over Dreamblade, and like they would have to close, and my family would be like, oh my god, my daughter died with an ayahuasca, like all of their worst fears had come true. So like the specifics, the logistics of it like weren't ideal. But besides that, I thought about my life, and I was like, the reason I used to be so afraid of death was because I thought I was afraid of death was because I was living such an unfulfilling life. Like, I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. And so I was terrified of dying because I knew, a part of me knew, like, you haven't done your shit yet. Like, you haven't done any of your potential. Like, you haven't unlocked even a tiny, tiny bit of it. And so, lying in that muluka, I was like, you know what, right now, I'm fucking okay with it. Like, I've seriously dove in. Like, I've taken the leaps. I've done this stuff. Like, I'm on the path. I'm fucking good. And at that realization, a large skull came in. Just, again, like, just coming in, full vision skull, just, like, nodding with a creepy fucking smile. And I was like, okay, let's do it. So I just relaxed. And then this tree spirit appears, almost like a cartoon, but not. I don't know, like CGI looking. And it just kind of gives me this, like, stern look, like, yes. And then I had the shit. Which is the theme.
Which is the theme of how most of these visions end. And then I threw up.
Exactly. And I was like, oh, I did it. Like, I fucking, like, I needed to do that to just prove to myself that, like, I am actually okay with it. I would really surrender and blah, blah, blah. But, like, I think maybe that's also true for you, because I think, I mean, she gives you what you need. And if you haven't been getting this death stuff, then, like, maybe you don't need to.
Yeah, at least not now. But I think she does kind of hit you with these, it's all challenges. Mm-hmm. It's all like, prove your bravery.
Yes.
Like, prove yourself before me.
Exactly.
Face death. For me, last ceremony last night, I got it. Again, it was, you constantly just, you think you got it fucking figured out. You're like, yeah, I know all the tricks and turns. And then you start hearing, like, you hear an actual knock on the top of your head. You feel it. You're like, what the fuck? And then you see, I see a man's head. A bald man looking down, and on his head, he has a book tattooed on it, and the book says hell. And he's looking down on me, and I hear another knock. I'm just like, come in. And that's when I got the giant spider.
Oh, yeah.
That's when I got the giant spider. Just this fucking entity coming out of this fog of my mind. That the dude's head floats off, and it's just fog, and off in the distance, this thing comes through, and I'm like, what am I looking at here? And immediately I was like, is this a walrus? Is this a walrus with multiple eyes? Because I see I see what I think are tusks, and I'm like, oh, cool, I'm getting this cosmic, like, blue, like, neon pulsating walrus face. And it wasn't until, like, 2 minutes after it leaves, 2 minutes later, it was like, that was a spider. That was the face of a spider. That was something, I was looking at a fanged, like, 8-eyed, like, close-up of a spider.
Oh, shit.
Yes, which, as you told me, means patience.
One possible meaning.
One possible meaning. The other possible meaning is spider.
Right. Always a meaning.
Is spider from hell.
What I just imagined, like, when you talked about the knocking and the bald head, I'm like, knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door.
Oh, man. Oh. Knocking on hell bald man's head.
I mean, maybe you did actually think something about the hair transplant.
Maybe I did.
It's like being bald as hell.
Dude, I gotta just wear spiders all over my head.
That's wild. I mean, I fully believe that spiders are some crazy, like, trans-dimensional... I mean, look at them. They're absolutely wild. They're like... They just don't look like they're from here.
They're aliens.
They have to be.
We have so many aliens.
They have to be. Like, most insects, I feel like, have to be. I mean, they just... The way they look, and they all have, like... I love the spiders so much, which is crazy. I used to hate them. I mean, I don't want them on me.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you got to be okay with them.
They're everywhere.
If you've been out here, specifically here.
Oh, specifically here, yeah. But even when I was a kid, they were all the time around me, which later I found out is like, oh, that's a spirit guide. But back then, I was like, Daddy, you killed it.
I do not want the spirit guide.
Yeah, it's like the ones that constantly come to me are the ones that I really don't want, which is another cosmic joke. I mean, I get some really beautiful ones too. Butterflies, they're fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
But spiders, cockroaches.
Oh God, cockroaches is one of yours.
Yeah.
Just cockroach is a spirit guide.
I mean, just a recent one. I wouldn't necessarily call it a spirit guide. It's been more of a teacher. Okay. And it's been coming up this month a lot. It's been coming up for like a very long time, but it's one of those... I feel like, okay, all of this work is like peeling off layers of an onion, and every layer that you do, just a new one is there, and you're like, oh yeah, this has always been there, but it's just very, like, niche.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, it's a refined layer of the onion. Like, it's like a translucent, like, layer. And you're like, oh yeah, I knew this was here, but I didn't think it was that important. But the cockroaches are like that, where they just keep coming up, and I was just telling a guest, I've told guests this a few times, like, you know, I'm okay with all insects now, except cockroaches. I just don't like them. They're creepy. They're creepy crawly. They fly. I don't like the fact that they fly. Like, if they couldn't fly, it would be one thing. I would still probably not like them very much, but they can fucking fly. And I just always have this fear that they're just going to go, like, whack right on my face or, like, near my mouth. And
the universe is going to keep giving you cockroaches.
It will, until I love them.
Until you love them.
Yes.
And well, I had that giant wasp. I had that giant wasp my first ceremony. That's how everything started out.
Has that come back at all?
You know, no, it has not come back. Are these things around the retreat that look like little bees, look like little wasps? Are those? Can they sting?
Yes.
Oh, they can.
I think one stung me yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, yeah, a lot of those have been landing on me, and I've just been letting them ride. I'm like, I don't know if it can sting.
Okay. Well, that's something.
That's definitely something. I have a huge fear of wasps. It's second only in the power rankings to dementia. And it's close. It's really, depending on the day, wasps will take number one and be like, I'd rather just fucking forget my fear of wasps. At least if I have dementia, though.
Dude, and you've been letting them land on you.
Yeah, so.
I mean, that's absolutely amazing.
It's been, I just haven't thought about it that much.
I think sometimes Ben always talks about this to me. He's like, sometimes things are easier than we think they're going to be. Like, we build it up as this thing that's going to be so hard to get rid of, like a fear of wasps or cockroaches or whatever. And then after a little bit, it just kind of, like, I don't know, there's like a small change that happens, and maybe it's not even noticeable, and maybe it's discreet. And then you just realize, like, oh, that's kind of gone, and just kind of slips away, and it was so easy.
It's yeah, to a certain degree. I think it's the Michael Singer thing? You want to quit cigarettes, fucking quit, say you never smoke another cigarette. It's like, I think this is a little more difficult and existential, but it's like, you want to stop being afraid of wasps, you just don't be afraid of wasps.
Exactly.
But to be fair, I didn't know these could sting. This entire time, I had a reverse act of bravery where, like, I was like, the first time one landed on me, it was like, can't sting me. This can't sting. I just decided. It's like, this is one of those things.
And it hasn't.
And it hasn't. One more day.
I mean, to be fair, those things have never stung me. I didn't think they could sting, and I'm not 100% positive that it's one of those that stung me yesterday.
Okay.
But it is weird timing that we're talking about this now, and the first time I ever got stung was yesterday. And they don't want to sting you. Like, this is another thing I've realized about everything we're afraid of in, like, the animal and insect kingdom. They don't want to, like, harm you. But if you attack them or they feel threatened, like, then they'll use their defenses. So, like, I itched it with my foot. Like, I didn't see it. So I was just like this. And then I looked down and, like, the stinger, it's, like, hanging out by its stinger. And I was like, oh, no. Like, I just thought it was an itch.
Which is always the danger here. Like, what's that thing running down my leg? Is that sweat, or is it a bug that could kill me?
That thought crosses my mind almost daily.
You guys had a lot of instances of, like people getting fucked up by bugs?
Not, like, many, but I'll tell you a couple stories. Like, there was this guy who got stung by a wasp or a bee or something, and I'm not trying to, like, make him seem like a pussy, because he was like, this probably hurt like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
But he was crying, and I didn't think that was funny in the moment. I obviously felt bad for him, because that sucks. Like, it's very painful, and kind of a little bit scary, because I think he wasn't sure, like, what was going to happen. But then, like, a couple weeks later, this girl was here, just this quiet, shy, amazing girl, and she comes super casually, walks up to the staff house where I sleep. She's like, I think I got bit by a scorpion. Can Lydia look? And we're like, what do you mean? And she tells us that a scorpion, so she had her pants hanging on the clothesline, and it's wet season, and you're always supposed to shake out your clothes during wet season, but she didn't, and she put her pants on, because we didn't tell her, and there was a scorpion inside, and it fucking bit her leg, like, multiple times while it was in her pants, and she calmly just took them off, you know, changed clothes, walks calmly up the stairs, and tells us about this, and I'm just like, I mean, again, comparing to the wasp man, I was just like, women are fucking badass. Like, that was, not saying every man and every woman would behave like that, but it was just an amazing, like, even I don't think I'd react like that to a scorpion. I would be freaking out.
No, speaking for myself, I'd be such a little bitch.
I'd be such a little bitch about it.
I'd be like, especially a scorpion, immediately, I'd be like, I'm gonna die.
I'm gonna die. That would be my thought. Yeah. And there's been a few times, not many though. Like, again, they don't want to attack you. They usually run away. They don't want to deal with us. I mean, we're huge. We're so big compared to them. They're tiny. But there was this funny time, I'll tell you about the snake story, where, like, there was no guests here. I was getting ready for people to be here, and I'm, like, walking across one of the bridges, and I see this, like, really cute green snake. And it was, like, not a neon crazy colored, like, warning. It was just, like a natural colored green. And it was kind of slithering along the railing towards me with its mouth open. Like, it was super fucking weird. And I was like, hello.
Don't like this. I gotta say, I'd like to stop the story for a moment and acknowledge that you were way idiot. More positive coming in.
I'm an idiot, because what I later realized is that I would not survive a day in the jungle, because my instincts are so backwards. Like, I saw the snake coming, and I was like, oh, you know, I should probably tell Drew or somebody that there's a snake here. So I told him, and he gets Saul, one of the Shipibos who works here, who knows everything about the jungle.
Yep.
And he comes and sees a snake, and just with a chop of his machete, just fucking chops his head off. And I was like, no, like, I felt so bad. I was like, the snake wanted to, like, be my friend. I fucking killed it. And he was like, if you have one bite from that snake, you're dead. Like, there's no antidote. So we had to kill the snake. It's better the snake than the guest. And I was just like, I mean, that's true. And it was also me. I was very close to it. And I was like, such an idiot. So then later this exact same day, it was in between ceremony. I had to go back to the big house before ceremony started. So I'm walking along the path with my flashlight. The same day, there's a huge, brightly colored snake, all of the warning colors. And I was like, this motherfucker's gotta be poisonous. So I go get Saul, and he's like, oh, no, this one's fine. And just, like, lightly shoos it off the path. And I was like, my instincts are so bad.
No, the jungle is an insane place.
Yeah. It is. I think that's why I love it so much, because it's like juicy. Like, it's like dripping with life and adventure, and it's like dangerous and sexy and like...
It's also hell. I'm reading, what is it, Lost City of Z right now?
It's also hell.
It's also hell. And one of the things that it goes into is like the worst trick the jungle plays on you, or it plays on people, is you think it's this verdant paradise. It's so lush, and there are so many trees, and there are so many sounds, and there is no food. There is no food. There is nothing edible. There is so much shit that will kill you. All the mammals that are there are like hiding really well.
Oh my god, I never thought about that.
Yeah. There's something going on where like parts of the Amazon are referred to as like an aquatic desert because of, I don't know, something in the water. It's like there's no fish.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's super bizarre, and I wonder if that's like... Okay, so we can talk to our dick, our nose, our uterus, like... So all these pieces in our body are alive, and I kind of think that's like equivalent to us being these like cells on Mother Earth. Like, she's like... You know, it's kind of... It all goes up, right? So the jungle... Like, the Amazon jungle has an energy, has a spirit... And it's fucking strong, and it knows it needs to... Like, Mother Earth knows, like, this needs to survive. It's like our lungs. It's like... It's everything. And I wonder if this, like, what you're talking about, is really just a defense mechanism against fucking humans. It's like, you cannot live here. Like, you can't.
Can't do it. Can't do it.
Many have tried.
Few have succeeded. And the tribes that were surviving the jungle, again, in this book, had just insane knowledge. It describes this one instance where he's like following this guy who's like going fishing, and he basically like cuts down this plant and like mashes it up into this like white, like just paste, and tosses it into a spot in the river. And like immediately like 6 fish come up and start eating it.
Whoa.
Out of nowhere. And then immediately they all like turn onto their bellies.
Holy
and he gets them.
Crap.
And like this was a toxin that causes paralysis. It causes temporary paralysis. And you can cook it out. So they would just like go in and they like scoop up the fish.
Oh
and then
my
they,
god.
Like, and it's just...
That's amazing.
Again, it talks in this book about like how these tribes were just masters of what would it be called, botany, and like ethnobotany.
Yeah,
not ethnobotany.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't even know
but
what that
like
means.
using like
plants.
native plants, using plants.
Yes, that's literally like something that I just took for granted when I first started working here. Was everyone talked about plant dietas, and I mean, it wasn't until I actually started seeing plant spirits that I really... Even when I started seeing plant spirits, I still didn't, like, really believe in it. But it's like, it doesn't matter if you believe in the plant spirits or not. I've seen Lydia do stuff like what you talked about, where Ben had a rash that he went to, like, many... Did he tell you about this? Where he went to, like, many doctors in the U.S., and they told him he had to change his diet, and this and this and that. And he came here, and the first day... Lydia was like, or the second day or whatever, she looked at his rash and was like, oh, I know what to do, and went out to a tree on the property, grabbed some bark, same thing, like macerated it, and then rubbed it on him, and the rash was gone. Well, I think he said it like kind of burned off the top layer of his skin, and it like peeled off, and then it was gone.
God.
Like there, and she always says, like, because people joke, they're like, can I take Advil? I have a headache. Can I do this? And she goes, the jungle is my pharmacy. And I always thought that was kind of a cute joke, but I'm like, it's actually true. Where do you think all of our drugs come from? They come from plants, or like some sort of chemically engineered version of something that came from nature. So it's like we're taking those chemicals out of the plants without acknowledging the fact that the plants have a spirit, without acknowledging the fact, because we just don't believe in that. It's like, that's not important. And I'm like, maybe that's actually the most important thing. It's like ignoring a body part.
Yeah, having communication with it. Mm-hmm. Being grateful.
Being grateful.
Showing some gratitude.
Just some gratitude.
Just some gratitude. Engaging in a little conversation.
Just acknowledgement.
How you doing, Bobinsana?
That's all they want.
That's all they want.
It's just like, that's what humans want. We just want to be acknowledged. People have gratitude for our existence.
Yeah, and we feel better. We feel better when we give gratitude.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, the jungle, I mean, the only thing I think the Amazon is specifically different though, and I haven't read that book, I really want to. But like, for example, when I went to Costa Rica, it felt different. It felt like it wanted humans to be there because there was just like stuff like there's like mangoes dripping off trees everywhere, like falling onto the ground in piles.
Yeah. I guess I should retroactively be specific about the Amazon. The Amazon jungle as being a crazy, inhospitable...
Yeah, and maybe all of them are, but I feel like it's interesting. I feel like Costa Rica is like beckoning. It's like, you can live here, it's okay, we have monkeys and sloths and mangoes dropping from trees. And the Amazon's like, don't you fucking dare.
I will kill you.
Yeah, that's what I've realized from living here. I am very fragile. Like all of us humans, so fragile. Like one bite from that snake, 2 hours later I'd be dead.
It's insane. I mean, does that... I don't know how in touch you are with the news in Iquitos.
Zero.
Does that, like, happen often out here? Are people getting...
I have literally no idea. The only thing I've heard about the Iquitos news lately is alien sightings.
Right. Is that still going on?
I don't know, but that's the only thing I've heard.
I was in Caracas, and I had told someone that I was coming to Iquitos. We were sitting at the hostel, and he just turns his phone, and has the headline about these 7-foot-tall, red-eyed, floating, armored green aliens that are attacking a tribe north of Iquitos. It's like... So I don't know how that...
My God.
I don't know how that wound up.
I really want to tell a story, but I'm like, fuck it, I'll just tell it.
We're off the ayahuasca train, yeah.
Dude, I won't go into all the details, but there was a hilarious time here, I won't say the name, where everyone who worked here, it was a real threat that there was like news in the town, news in the villages that we were possibly going to be attacked by aliens. So we had to like figure out a game plan for this. And we were like all huddled around before ceremony. And again, I won't get into the specifics, but I was just like, what other job would you have where you're like huddled in a screened-in hut discussing what to do about the potential alien attack on the Maloka?
Who snitched?
I'm just like...
Who's like, so I've been talking with these aliens, and I really tried to talk them down from this, but they're coming for you. You guys, be ready.
Oh my God. It was so crazy. I'm like, is this something else? Like, we don't need to be worried about this in addition to, like, just normal human things that people are trying to deal with here. And it turns out it was all just, like, probably a weird, like, crazy rumor thing, hopefully.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
It could be
anything's possible.
Delaying, waiting until the guards are down.
But I do think, I mean, we were talking about interesting possibilities about, like, how what natives probably felt about like guns and money stuff, where they were just like, what the fuck is this weird stuff? We're like, well, if native jungle Peruvians see a drone like flying over them,
Yeah.
they might think it's a fucking spaceship. Or it might be a spaceship. Like, I don't know at this point. But it was a very funny moment where I was like, this wouldn't have happened at my 9 to 5.
Perks of the work, yep.
You know, it might actually, though. I feel like the government or whatever actually releases, like, I mean, we all know the media releases stuff specifically, right? Like, there's a reason why they're telling certain stories, and so I'm, like, paying attention to what they're saying about aliens, because I'm like, what is this about? Hold on, I'm going to pause this. Okay, where were we? Someone just came up to the tambo. But I feel like I do want to mention this in the podcast just because it's like, I feel like they might try to freak us out about aliens.
Yeah, they're already kind of doing it. It's this weird thing going on in the media where, I mean, you had those congressional hearings where they were basically like, yeah, like, we don't know what the fuck some of this shit is. Which is crazy that they would admit that. So then you have half the people being like, they're not really admitting that. They're using that to fuck with you and distract from something else.
Right.
And then you have this other group of people who are like, yeah, but they're like admitting, they're actually playing the fucking the 4D chess with Jedi. They're like, and actually, no, we're releasing this right now, so you think we're trying to fuck with you, even though we're really telling you we don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yes.
And I just don't give a shit.
Yeah,
it's hard to.
I agree.
It's hard to figure it out.
There was this guy here telling me, and I'm probably gonna like totally butcher this, but he told me something about like how when a planet, there's a theory that when you start like really evolving in consciousness, and you get closer to like kind of going from 3D to 4D dimensionally, stuff starts getting really very funky, very, very weird. Yeah, and I'm like, I feel that. Like, I don't know what that even means. Like, I don't know, and I don't need to. I don't want to like dive into it, but I just feel like that's happening.
It's getting very, very weird.
And because now there's just bizarre things happening and people are like cool with it. Like they're just like, oh yeah, UFOs. It's like we're not even going to talk about it.
Desensitized. Just so much information every goddamn day.
Yeah.
Which has been a real gift here to be totally disconnected. I don't know what's happened in the news the past 3 weeks.
And how do you feel about that?
Great. I don't really feel much about it.
You don't miss it.
I don't miss it. I don't miss it.
Yeah.
I don't miss it. There's a curiosity that when I think about it, it's like, oh wow, I wonder if anything crazy has happened. But then it's like, what am I talking about? A fucking celebrity died? Like, that's the crazy thing. It's like, wow. Yeah.
I feel really cool here. I feel like I'm living in older times because I don't have any outlets to news or whatever except for like guests coming in and like telling me information that's happening, so it feels very old timey where I'm just like, oh, like I'm getting the news from like the travelers. Yeah. Like I don't know it as it's happening, but I just like hear what's happening as it's unfolding. But then it's like, is the news really telling us the news? I don't know. I mean, whatever. That's why I just kind of gave up. Like you said, I do.
So many rabbit holes.
There's so many rabbit holes. I like knowing what's happening sometimes, but it's like I don't miss it at all. And I feel more connected with humans not being connected to the news and media. Like, I would have thought, people are like, oh, but how are you going to stay connected? And I'm like, that makes me feel disconnected somehow. Yeah.
It's talking to the people around you. You get this gift here where it's just like, it does feel like a little community. Mm-hmm. It's like, if you want to talk to someone, you can pick one of like 12 people to talk to.
And that sounds like a small number, but it's plenty.
It's a lot. The dynamic has changed every week. Mm-hmm. It's very exciting. I can see how you'd really get used to it.
Yeah.
It's like people coming and going.
Yeah.
You remain this frontier outpost where all these travelers are going through as they move on to different parts of their lives.
Wow.
You just get to see them.
That's beautiful.
Like a Star Wars cantina, and seeing all these aliens come through.
Yep. Yep, and nothing surprises me anymore. I mean, it would take a lot for me to be surprised. Like, at the beginning of working at this job, every week I was like, wow, oh my God, like, that's crazy, And now I'm just like, oh, yeah. You saw your sperm, like, you had a cosmic spider face. Like, none of it is shocking. I mean, it's all very cool. I still love talking about it, but it's not shocking.
Yeah. Where I think, you know, when I go back, if I were to try to tell people about this, I think it would be the reverse. I think it would be shocking and, like, not cool. I think it would shock people and they'd be like, what the fuck? And they also, like, don't really give a shit. Because it's hard when you're experiencing these things to really encapsulate the profundity of, like, the effect that it has on you. Yeah. Of, like, man.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's just, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how you really talk about it. It almost seems profane to, like, talk about some of the things.
Some of it does.
That you experience of, like, I'm afraid that if I talk about it, it will lose some of its power.
I almost think it does sometimes, and I feel like I have been feel. I have been I have felt called to share, like, this, you know, I got a lot of messages from people being like, make a podcast, do this, like, share your voice. So for me, it was a little differently, where I had this coca ceremony where I got this message through Jan from Coca that was basically like, I mean, I have a loud mouth. I talk a lot. I have no filter. So when she was saying, like, Coca's kind of saying a message about, like, something about you talking. And I was like, oh, I know what that is. I talk too much. And she was like, she said something, you know, in her Jan way, like, chew on that or something. So I thought about it, and, well, I guess I didn't think about it. I sat there and kind of waited for a feeling to come about it, and it was like, you're not actually sharing enough. This was a while ago. And I was like, that's interesting. And then Jan was like, yeah, that's what Coca's saying. You're quiet when you shouldn't be. You need to share all of this. And again, it's like almost person specific. Some people it would be like, stop. You shouldn't share any of this. It'll take away. But for me, for some reason specifically, the plants, like, want me to communicate, like, all of this stuff. And sometimes it feels very uncomfortable. That's why I said in the share circle, I'm like, sometimes I as a person don't want to share it, but they want me to share this for some reason. And I mean, I know what the reason is because every time I do, I get messages from people relating, like, super hardcore to what I'm saying and being like, wow, thank you for sharing. Like, I now have to process your trip because, like, they feel it. And the few times where I was looking back at the times I should have said something and didn't, it could have saved that woman or person some grief, just knowing that, like, I have shared a similar experience or saw a guest go through a similar experience, like, they're not alone, like, all that kind of stuff. So it's very interesting. There's no, like, hard rules, but I do know what you mean, where there are some things that I'm like, it just feels too sacred. It feels like putting words to it is diminishing the experience, and trying to do that would just make you feel bad because people can't possibly understand. Yeah. That's why I think I kind of took this place for granted a little bit at one point, because you know, you just get used to things. It just was my normal.
Yeah.
Talking to people about their crazy trips. I love it. And then going back to, like, quote unquote regular society felt so weird, and I realized, like, people don't like going into deep shit all the time. Like, people don't like communicating about all this stuff all the time, and I was just like, this feels very shallow and sad. And of course I don't have to talk about deep stuff all the time, but I'd like to once in a while.
Yeah, and also, if you do want to talk about deep stuff all the time, you can fucking do that.
Exactly. And like, I do that.
You can just do it. You can find the people who want to do it. You're not alone.
Right.
You're not alone. There are, chances are, if you like something, if you like doing something, if you like talking about a certain thing, these are the things you like to talk about, you're not alone. One of the balances I really enjoy is, like, we are all these beautiful fucking incredible snowflake human beings who are just totally individual, and it's amazing. And also, like, we're not that special. We're also like these like animals that have these certain like wants and needs, and we're falling within certain categories. So if you're experiencing something, chances are you're not the first.
Right.
Like, there's like you're probably not the only person even experiencing that right now.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Definitely not. And it's humbling, and it also makes you feel less alone. And I think people like to wear that sometimes they like to wear their pain as a badge of honor, like as the reason why they're special. Like, no one has felt the depths of my hopelessness and despair and sadness. But it's like, we have. We actually have.
In fact, it's a little deeper over there. If you swim out a little further, you'll actually find the Marianas Trench. You'll actually.
It's so fucking true. Oh my god, and I just remembered, like, I mean, one thing, and you don't have to talk about this right now if you don't want to, but one thing you mentioned was the kids thing. Or was that just, like, the sperm?
The kids thing.
Because you said, like, a kid thing came up during your trip. Was that the sperm?
That was the sperm.
Okay.
That was the conversation with my dick, where my dick was like, I thought we had, like, fucking, like 2,000 children, and I'm realizing now that you fucked me on this. This wasn't part of the deal, man.
That's so crazy that, like, men just... Every time you do that, there's just, like, so much opportunity for life just, like, exploding out into the world.
Just fucking wash down the fucking drain.
Yeah. Wow. And meanwhile, our little eggs are just...
They're there. It's... You
just
will...
slowly deteriorating.
Yeah, you will always know if you have a child.
Right.
Dudes, you can find out way later. Dudes.
Yeah, but apparently your seed wants to be spread.
Apparently my seed does want to be spread. But I'm keeping that shit under wraps. Now I'm like, no, we'll work out a treaty.
Yeah, a deal, a negotiation.
Yeah, because so surprisingly, through all of this, a lot of my life, as I've struggled with, different aspects of myself, moderation is huge, whether that be with sex, with food, with general, like, work ethic. I'm very feast or famine. I'm very, like...
Scorpio.
Yep, just, like, total fucking heathen indulgence. In sex and eating, in just, like, laziness for, like, fucking weeks. And then crazy... abstinence, ascetic, just like fucking nope, never doing this shit again for a month, and just swinging the pendulum. And so I was really expecting to come in here and have these things of like, I need to be abstinent for a year, I need to like quit drinking, and that has not been the case. It's been telling me, like, no, like, actually, that's easy for you. That's the easy way out. What's difficult is for you to build moderation and to actually, like, constantly be checking in with your body and how you feel, which I've been terrible at. I just want to set it and forget it. I just want to be like, no, this is what... That's why my dick is so upset with me. I'm like, no, like, this is just what I never need to check in with myself. So,
wow.
Yeah, so that's an exciting new phase, and that's like one of the things where it's just like, man, I just fucking wanted to come in here and have death experiences and be overwhelmed and be like, I'm different, leave and be like, I'm different now. It's like, I'm not different, I'm just more aware. I just have to be more aware, and now I have to do this shitty, hard thing. Yep.
It doesn't have to be shitty, but it might be hard.
It will be hard. I have to do this wonderful, hard thing that...
Because you will it.
I'm being a little rascal about. I'm being... Oh, a little bug.
Rascal.
I'm being a little rascal about. I'm being a cheeky motherfucker when my higher self is like, dude, all right, it's going to be okay. You're going to be okay. This is going to be... It's going to be incredible.
Yes.
And I'm not gonna bullshit myself. It's gonna be very difficult.
Yes, it's probably one of the hardest things for you to do, but it'll be worth it.
Yeah.
Just like Richard was saying today. I mean, he went through a very similar experience.
it's and more than worth it. Having this, I don't know if this is common, but having this overwhelming recognition of like, it's not about worth. Like, you have to do this. You have to do this. I can't. And I was lying down in that first ceremony and really just rolling through these crazy thoughts of like, okay, I brought myself to the fucking Amazon jungle outside of Iquitos to like take this medicine and participate in this ceremony. And that first ceremony, I was really afraid because I had never heard that you might not get an effect. I had never heard until that first day.
Whoa.
When before they give us the talk, and they're like, hey, like, just so you know, you might not feel anything. We've had people here for a month and they did not feel anything.
It's true.
And I was really lying there, and I was like, I'm not going to feel anything. Like, okay, what would that mean? That would be the most devastating thing. I'm still trying to engage, still trying to stay playful. I remember Wade came over and he was like, how you doing? And I'm like, not feeling anything. He's like, well, try to start a conversation with her. It's like, okay. Having that talk of like, hey, I'm here. What's up? I'm waiting. I came all this way. You just know that I'm here just trying to be playful. And then this thought came into my head where it was like, I'm ready for anything because nothing could be worse than the life I was living before this. And it just struck me as the most hilarious and heartbreaking thought of like, whoa, I actually feel that. My life objectively wasn't that bad. Pretty good life. I lived in a nice apartment. I was, I was making money, was working a lot, but just inside it was dead. I was a shell of a human being. That I was, when I was younger, I was definitely an optimistic nihilist, and I was really able to embrace the like, that cartoon that nothing means anything, like, and that's a wonderful thing.
Yes.
And somewhere along the way, I don't know if it was exhaustion but I was full pessimistic nihilism and just totally indifferent and dissociating so hard all the time that even these moments of connection I had still felt muffled. I still felt muted. Even when I was present, I was only present at the capacity I could be.
Right.
Coming out, it's just, I can't go back. I cannot go back.
No.
I can't go back, man. I can't fucking...
No.
I can't, I'm not going back.
You're not going back. I always tell people, like, it's like, I can never remember the color of the pill, but you fucking took the pill.
I took all the pills.
Makes you exit the matrix. Like, you're not going back. Like, you could, like, in the movie, they can choose to take the other pill and just, like, forget everything, but in real life, you can't.
Yeah,
like, I fully believe that there's no way back once you take ayahuasca. It's like, you can try to go that way, but eventually... from what I hear, it won't leave you alone. Exactly.
It'll tell you.
And it's for your own good. It's your own higher self.
Oh God,
it's the own part of you that's like, dude, no. Like, we're not having fun. We're not living. Yeah. And yeah, it might be hard. You might have to practice moderation with sex and food. Oh, it's so hard. That's like...
oh, boo, does somebody have to practice moderation with sex and food?
It's so difficult. Yeah. It's going to be really good for you. Yeah. And moderation has never been my issue. It's so interesting because as you were talking, you really reminded me of my sister. Me and her have been yin and yang in a lot of ways, but that's a big one where I've always been in the moderation category. Yeah. I mean, not always, but for the most part. And she's always been fucking extreme. And for a while, I was kind of jealous of it because it looked like fun. It's just binge eating, partying, crazy time to like total like fasting, juice cleanses, like exercising all the time. And I'm just like, sure, I could get I tried to do that. And then I was like, this is just not for me. Like, it's exhausting.
It's exhausting.
It's so exhausting, and it's so much work, and it's so much mental, like, energy. I don't know, because when you're, like, doing the good stuff, I feel like you're kind of, like, missing the bad stuff, and then when you're doing the bad stuff, you know that you're going to have to do the good stuff later. It's exhausting. So I feel like even if this seems like a hard thing, after a little bit, you might be like, wow, I just feel so much better. Like, it's actually easier this way. The other way was actually harder.
Right. Had that thought the other night. Like, yeah, it's so much harder to think. When you really get down to it, I've created this fallacy where I'm like, oh, it's so hard to stop thinking. No, it's hard to think.
God, it's exhausting.
It's exhausting.
Oh my God. I think there was something in the room where, like, because you said this happened to you on Monday night, and the same thing happened to me. So I've seen weird shit go on in ceremony. Understatement.
Yeah.
But I've seen certain energies move around the room that will do certain things. For example, I'm pretty sure there's some sort of, like, thought loop thing where it's almost like some energy that comes on and will show you how insane your mind is very clearly. And it will just make you, like, thought loop until you're just like, oh my God, like, this is so exhausting. Why am I thinking about this? The same thing happened to me on Monday night. I had this insanely amazing ceremony that I talked about last episode on the podcast. And I didn't talk about this, but the second half of the night, from the time, like, we stopped talking until sunrise, and then after sunrise, I was on thought loops.
Whoa.
And it's so crazy to me how much work I've done on myself, and that still happens. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was just like, oh my God, we're still doing this. Like, I thought I've, like, kind of really gotten mostly in control of my mind. Like, she's my friend. I have all these different parts of her that I talk to, and we're under control. But that night, there was just something that was, like, making me see how insane my mind still is and how exhausting that is. Oh my God, it's so tiring. I was just like, can we not?
What did you do? How did you handle it?
I had to have a stern talking to with my mind a couple times. Like, I was just like, look, we've gone over this so many times. We're not going to come up with anything new right now. Let's just not. And then I would, like, focus on, I used the Eckhart Tolle thing where I just, like, feel the aliveness in my hands and stick with my breathing and do that for a while. But then, because you're on ayahuasca, it's just thought loop. It's just like, oh God. And it's just, I mean, for me, that was teaching me, like, it was very interesting because, again, I think it was related to, it must have been some energy, I swear, that was kind of fucking with us, because mine was very related to what you were talking about, which is conversations I need to have with people. And it was making me fucking go through them, because one of my problems or shadow sides or whatever is, like, standing up for myself and having tough conversations. That's been, like, a theme of my past year, and it's been super annoying because I hate it. Like, I just want to be like, can we just not be friends and, like, cuddle and just, like, can you just not be a dick to me so I don't have to, like, admonish you? Like, I just don't like that whole part of it. But ayahuasca was like, you have to have these conversations. So I was like, fine. I'll do the conversation in my head. And she's like, I feel like she just kept coming back and be like, that wasn't harsh enough. Like, you're still...
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. She was coaching you.
Coaching me.
How to ream someone out.
Yes. Yes. Wow. And it's crazy because Aussie's here, who always talks about crawly, which is this, like... I don't even really know what she is, but I just know she's, like, this fierce goddess. With her tongue out. Just, like... And she's, like, stepping on people. Like, back the fuck off, bitch. And I was just like... I need that energy. I don't really want it. I'm uncomfortable with it, but there are times when it's called for, because if people cross my boundaries, I need to do that.
You need to be able to access it.
So, God, that's what she was doing. Coaching me. Yeah, you're right. It was a fucking ridiculously tiring coaching session, because every time I'd finish, it was like she made me come back and be like, but you didn't hit this part that really made you angry. I was like, do we really have to hit all of the parts?
She's like, yeah, you get one fucking shot at this.
Exactly.
You get one shot.
Exactly. And it's not even necessarily for them, because it doesn't matter if they can receive it and learn from it or not. sure, that would be great, but that's not why you have to do it. You have to do it for yourself. And that's tough for me because, like, I love standing up for other people and all that stuff, but for myself, it's just like, it's not worth it.
It's like, yeah, I can take it. It's
Right.
fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
It's okay. But that comes back to respecting yourself. It's like, oh, it's fine. I'll fucking,
No.
yeah, I'll work another hour.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, it's fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can fucking handle it.
Right.
But you're not
Respecting yourself.
respecting in the same way. You're fucking talking to your uterus,
Yes.
talking to your feet.
Yes, oh my God. It's all the same.
You're talking to, like, your soul.
Ooh. And my soul was like, dude, you've been too nice. And, I hate that.
What's that? It comes back to this moderation thing where it's like, you like, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Being nice isn't a bad thing.
Right.
Being nice all the time.
Yes.
And so
yes.
you come into these, like, again, these loops where it's like, I need to be a dick now, as opposed to like entering the space of moderation and checking in with how you feel in the moment and being able to communicate your needs honestly and authentically. But you're gonna have a little pendulum shift.
Oh my God.
Over to the fucking wrath of Kali.
You kind of just gave me like an aha moment, because the stuff I've been dealing with and these thought loops and stuff is so related to why my most recent relationship, I mean, it failed for a few reasons, but on my end, one of my failures was me not, it was just what we talked about at the beginning of this retreat with you, where I was like, I relate to you, where I'm like, you know what, I'll just let that little one slide. It's not a big deal. I can handle it. And over time, you are like, it's like death by 1,000 cuts. And then when something happens, when they say something, all of a sudden I'll be like, okay, I need to be honest. And then I unleash all of my fury, whether it's in anger or calmness, it doesn't matter. I'll tell them everything, and it's too late. Now I fucking cut them off because they've treated me so poorly for so long in my head, you know? Yep. They weren't even aware of this.
Yep.
They weren't even aware. It's so unfair of me to not give them a chance. But I did the thing, oh my God, this is my aha moment, because I did the thing I said I hate that Scorpios do.
Yep. You did the, what is it, testing?
Oh my God, it's the testing. It's the like, they should know.
They should
fucking know.
They should just, and you know what? They should know.
They should know. Stand by it.
You don't want to stand by it. They should know. No.
And part of me thinks that because there's this devil and angel on my shoulder, where the devil says they should fucking know, and you don't have to hang out with people who don't get you. And you don't have to hang out with people who don't respect you.
You should never have to communicate any of your needs.
Right.
Because if they really loved you, they would know all of them immediately.
Because your perfect soulmate will come in and just know everything about you. And it's like...
It's fucking insane.
That's actually crazy, dude.
That's like actually... I do the exact same thing, and it's actually fucking cuckoo bananas.
I think it's Banana Town.
It's fucking Banana Land.
It's Banana
Oh my God. Oh my
God, it's a whole internal landscape where I have these like long battles like with them and myself, and then I like come full circle to be like, I don't need to have this conversation. And then it ends with me being so mad at them for a bunch of stuff that they never knew they did.
They don't even know.
They never knew it.
Because they're fucking functioning human beings.
Or not, but it doesn't even matter.
Or not.
It doesn't even matter because I don't give them a chance. And one thing my ex-boyfriend said to me, which was fucking true and hurt because it was true, was like during a fight or after, he was very honest and hurt about, like, we were in an argument, and I just remember sitting in the front seat of his car, and we weren't even dating at this point. So I don't even know I was being such a bitch, but I was just like so angry at him, and we were arguing about something, and I didn't feel like he was hearing me, so I just stopped. I literally just, I don't know how else to explain it, but I completely closed. Like, I just closed up, like, closed off my energy, like, I'm done. And he told me later, he's like, when we argue, you take away all of your love. And I was like, oh my God, I fucking do that. And that's so cruel, because in my head, that's what I'm actually doing, is I'm saying, fuck you, I'm self-sabotaging. I'm saying, like, we're having this conflict. I'm going to pull out before I get hurt.
Whoa.
Yeah. And that's not fair. It's like, I'm so conflict avoidant that when a conflict comes up, I turn to Ice Queen. Like, it doesn't make any sense in their head, but in my head, it makes total sense, you know?
Yeah.
And when he said that, I just felt horrible. I felt like a horrible person because I do that, and I do that to everybody. Not everybody, just the few closest people to me who love me the most.
Because those are the people you expect the most from. Oh,
yeah.
That, let's be clear, that does not make you a horrible person at all.
I know.
That's just...
Thank you.
As somebody who very much identifies, it's just another thing to just be aware of.
Exactly. And it's really hard for me because I won't even go into the situation that happened recently, but I realize I'm doing the same thing. And it's very subtle. Again, the first onion layers are easy to see. They're like thick and dirty, and you're like, oh yeah. And then as it gets thinner and thinner, you're like, it's the same problem, just very subtle.
It's still there.
But it's there.
It's still manifesting.
It's sneaky.
Yeah.
It's sneakier than my conscious. Because my conscious mind, I'm like, I'm fucking great. I'm cool. I'm chill. Well, my subconscious is like, same problems are still here, bitch. Just sneakier.
Yep. Are you how you do anything else? How you do everything person?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, then that's...
Is there another way to be?
Yeah, there are people who don't believe that.
How could you not believe that?
I don't know. I don't know. But
I've never considered the possibility that that's not true.
I think every time like someone has told me they don't believe in that, I just don't know. Like, I don't even have conversations with them. I don't even know where to begin. I'm like, what?
Because that's wrong.
I think... You're just so... I just believe that you're so wrong. How...
It's just... It's wrong. It's like the 4 agreements type of stuff where it's like, this is how you should be as a human. It's like it's a natural law.
Yeah, but and
in my opinion,
what hope is there for society if we can't even agree?
Oh my God!
If we can't even agree that how you do anything
is how you do everything. I'm trying to imagine what it would be like if you didn't believe that. Like because what does that look like?
I really wonder if there are like theories on this of like offering like, hey, here's an alternative to this, that maybe how you do anything isn't how you do everything, that you can do that you can compartmentalize little aspects of yourself. But I don't know, wouldn't the compartmentalization also just be an aspect of like how you do anything?
Right. Yeah, if you half-ass the compartmentalizing.
Oh God.
I feel like those people are just lying to themselves because they don't want to admit that what they're doing is half-assing life.
If they are half-assing.
Right. Well, someone who's giving their all in some things, I can't imagine them... Like, I'm trying to...
Where...
I can't imagine it.
Where are we going? It's somebody trying to...
I lost the thread.
Yeah. The thread
it does not compute.
The thread is gone. The wall has been hit. When...
Okay.
Here's the thing, though. If we do this again in 3 months, I'm gonna be full advocate for Satan. And how you do anything isn't how you do everything. I'm gonna do my research.
I'm excited. We will have a part 2 on this and argue for that perspective.
Yes, we will.
Just like any good debate would do.
Yeah,
we research the other side.
Have to represent with love. with love.
And understanding and compassion.
Okay. Wow.
Thanks, Eddie. And this has been amazing. I hope you guys really enjoyed it as much as I did. Send you guys love.
Thank you, Britt.